She worked like a dog, bless her
Right.
heart, for us, and we never wanted for anything that I can ever recall. But in my head now, I'm just like, well, I've got to give my kids this, and I got to give them this, and I got to give them this, and I got to give them this, and they've never asked me for anything.
Right,
But in
right,
my head, I'm like, well, I need to do this for them, and I need to do this
Right.
for them, because I don't want them to have to, try very hard for things. And which, I don't want that to sound like I had to scrape, and we
No,
didn't. I mean,
I know what
we
you
made
mean.
it fine, but you don't want your kids to have to sometimes go through the same thing that
Right.
you went through. But I think that made me who I am today, because
Right.
it made me
Mhm.
appreciate what I had.
Absolutely.
And again, when I talked about stepping back, just I was talking to Brian, and I was like, I really am so tired of this travel. I'm exhausted, but I don't want the kids to need something and then me
Right.
not be able to give it to them.
But
then
that's
I thought,
crazy.
they need to know what it's like to get stuff. Shoot,
It
they don't
really
need
is.
everything handed to them on a silver platter.
But
And
how
like I
can
said,
you do
they
it?
never asked me for anything. But
We do the same thing. We laugh all the time because we talk about one time. We talk about what we do when our ship comes in. If our ship ever comes in, it's going to be a mess. But I mean, Janice and I talk about
mine
it.
would
Okay.
probably sink.
And one time, I said, "What would you really make you happy?" And I asked her. So what? Well, she said, "I would like to go someplace and every week and have them blow my hair out." I think that's the way she described it. Okay, where they do something to her hair, maybe twice a week or do something, blow my hair out. And I said, what I would like to do, and that's all she wanted when her ship come in. And I said, I would like to have a new pair of socks to wear every day, because I hate socks once you've worn them. I love them when they come out of the package and they're creased, and you put them on, they feel so good, they cling to your feet, and they got that crease. And I love that. Yeah. So for Christmas, she bought me 30 pair of socks. Okay. Yeah. So I thought, what else do I need? Yeah. But when you think about life, you start thinking about what's you really need and what really will make you happy. And I think sometimes with our kids, it's our heart, and we want to do stuff. Okay. And we think, and I don't know if we can ever grip that. And I thought about this. You think about this one. I studied one time for a year on nothing but God the Father. Okay. On nothing but God the Father being my Father. And you think about in your life, the way you want to do for your kids, how much more that He wants to do for you.
Yes.
And you think about things in our life. I think about my life, the things that I probably missed. And I'm not talking about old junk. I mean, I've got more junk now than I can store. But I think about in my life the peace and having the things that God maybe wanted to arrange in my life that I messed up.
Yeah. I do too. And I think that He's, like I'm coming to see now, He doesn't always want to hand everything to us on a silver platter. Right. Sometimes we've got to work for it, and we've got to want it and to do it on our own. He won't force us to do anything.
Right.
But sometimes He wants us to take that step to Him, not just sit back and say, well, the Lord didn't do it, so I guess it wasn't, His will for me to do it. And I think you're a prime example of that. I think that you do step out and try to do things a lot that the Lord is leading you to do, and you take that step toward Him. And I think that He's been very faithful to you in that. And
He's blessed me, and I'm happy. I look at my life, and He could knock me in the head tomorrow, and I enjoy it, and I enjoy people. I mean, the big thing I enjoy is people. I mean, I get all kinds of business deals that come and things that come. I said I don't want to take away from time with people.
Right.
Okay. And I like to be able to choose the people I'm around too. Right. And I know it's hard in a lot of jobs you have.
It is.
Being able to choose the people. And that part of my life, I've got friends that sometimes are working with ding dongs that don't want to, and the things that don't make them unhappy. And I'm thinking, man, I'm so glad. I think, every morning I get to go, my grandson and I go to the Y together. I pick him up at his house, and we go to the Y, and we walk together and work out together. And I'm thinking, how much more rich could I be?
Yeah.
And we eat dinner. Most of my family, we eat dinner together sometimes twice a week. We cook and eat dinner in the house, and they're noisy and everything's going. And shoot, I mean.
Well, and I was telling you the other day that I had something that happened that just tore me all to pieces, and I was just in not a great state. I was very sad, very heartbroken, and I don't get like that very often. Right. I'm a pretty strong person. Right. I don't let things get to me too bad, but it just hit me like a ton of bricks, and I was just heartbroken. And I just thought, I was just sitting there thinking, Lord, why do you let this stuff happen? Why do you let this stuff happen? And then I thought, you have to be the most selfish human on the planet. You're sitting there worrying about something that crazy, just like the Lord has let something horrible happen to you.
Right.
But you have been so blessed throughout your whole entire life. You know, I still have my mom. I had my grandparents until my grandmother just died 2 years ago. So, you know, I've had my grandparents, and I'm 50 years old, so I've had them for a long time. My children are healthy. You know, my husband is healthy. We've had a great life. And I'm like you, if I fall over dead tomorrow, I've had a great life. And I had to just sort of take myself up and say, you need to stop, because you're just being a little bit dramatic. You need to stop right now.
That's beautiful.
You know, got a hold of myself, because I think you have to really think about what's really important in life and what's not. And sometimes we just put things to the forefront that we think in our minds are so important. And at the end of the day, they're really just not.
And most of the time, the thing you fear the most never happens. There's things that sometimes in our life that we get afraid is going to happen. We're afraid this is going to happen. And I don't know. And it's a life. I enjoy life. I enjoy if I'll be cooking supper after a while, and I can't wait to put some chicken thighs in there, and I do some stuff and broccoli, and I enjoy doing stuff, and I have fun. Janice and I do, and I got programs that we watch on TV. I mean, we have to make sure we're ready to watch this show, and we enjoy ourselves, and
so we can just sit and watch.
And then we talked about the other night. We was talking about, and I said, honey, if I could think of somewhere we wanted to go this weekend, and because we do all summer long, we got things that we do when the weather's where we want it. But I said I put 50 gallon in there of water, and we take off and go do it. And I said, that's so good to be able to do those things.
It is.
And I appreciate it. And I know. Well, when we talk about growing up, okay, what are some things that you stand out in your life that have molded you growing up? When we talk about just growing up as a girl, and from back in your life, in your mind.
I think probably first and foremost would have been when my dad left us. That was a life-changing event, of course, for us. But I think what molded me the most about that was not him leaving. It was how my mother handled that situation and how she pulled herself up by the bootstraps. And I know there had to be days that she was just completely broken. But she never showed that to us. She worked night shift. And I'm sure she didn't enjoy the job that my mother was a very quiet, person. She worked at the jail.